Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Taking Stock Live. I'm Kalilah Reynolds, the host of the show. It's great to see all the moneymakers watching already. I love to see you in the chat when you're already watching, you're already joining, you're waiting for the show to come on with bated breath because you guys are our day ones. You guys make this show happen every single week. So we have another exciting show for you this week. Let's take a look at what's coming up, followed by what's hot in business.
Express Catering is reporting a net profit of just under $1.1 million for the year ended May 21, 2022, when compared with the previous year that operated at a net loss of $1.73 million. We'll find out how they turned operations around and their plans for growth from Express Catering CEO Ian Deere. And the analysts weigh in on the latest market developments. Main Event's net profit went up by a whopping 837% for the year ended October 31, 2022. When compared with the previous year. Wow! What led to that massive increase? And Seprod results are out. How did they perform? We'll find out. But first, here's What's Hot, brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart. Palace Amusement stock split took effect on Monday, bringing the share price down to $5 per share. Palace shareholders agreed to a 600-to-1 stock split in January. Palace was the JSE's most expensive stock, trading at $2,701 on Friday. The stock closed trading at Monday at $5.94. Shareholders had also approved an increase in share capital, bringing Palace's authorized share capital up from 1.5 million to an unlimited amount of shares. The Jamaica Stock Exchange JSE says it will advise all SSL account holders about what to do next in the coming days. On Friday, the JSE announced that it has blocked SSL from trading on the exchange, leaving SSL clients in limbo. Clients have been unable to buy or sell any stocks or access their accounts. The JSE said it has terminated its member dealer agreement with SSL, which is the focus of a multi-billion-dollar fraud investigation. This comes weeks after SSL was barred from conducting trades online. Jean-Ann Panton, the former wealth advisor at the center of the fraud investigation, was also denied bail when she appeared in court on Friday. Panton has been charged with breaches of the Larceny Act, the Proceeds of Crime Act, the Forgery Act, and the Cybercrimes Act. It's alleged that she stole roughly $3 billion from investors over a decade. Exim Bank has launched a new energy loan to help small and medium businesses convert to solar power. The loan will be available to SMEs in the productive sector. It will cover 85% of the cost to source and install solar equipment. Businesses will have up to 7 years to repay the loan at 7.5% interest. The maximum you can borrow is $50 million and the minimum is $5 million. Visit eximbankja.com for more information. GK Capital has signed on as financial advisor for 138 Student Living Jamaica. Under the new partnership, GK Capital says it will review strategic equity financing options for 138. 138 Student Living is a real estate investment company. It designs, finances, and rents student accommodations at the University of the West Indies, Mona. As of September 2022, the company operated almost 1,500 rooms in 3 locations on the UWI Mona campus. GK Capital's VP of Investor Relations, Ryan Strawn, said the company was excited to partner with 138 as they pursue their latest growth objectives. Netflix slashed its prices in 100 countries, including Jamaica, last week. In some cases, the streaming giant chopped the price of its monthly plans in half to boost subscriber acquisition and retention. Netflix has dropped prices across Asia, Latin America, Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. However, it will reportedly not reduce prices in North America or Western Europe, which are its most mature markets. In Jamaica, Netflix's premium plan now starts at $7.99 US, down from $14.99. What's Hot was brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart. This segment of Taking Stock is brought to you by Bulwark Insurance Agency, insurance made easy.
Just 2 hours with me can change your life, but don't take it from me.
Why I decided to buy Kalilah's masterclass, which is for me, it was a game changer.
I'm Kalilah Reynolds, financial journalist and educator, and I'm on a mission to help you get better with money. Take my all-new Money Mission Masterclass. We're talking about budgeting.
My top things today were about budgeting and investing.
We're kicking bad debt out the door.
And also learn about how to pay off your credit card debt.
And I'm giving you the keys to wealth creation by helping you getting started with investing.
This masterclass helped me to start my investment journey.
I had so many takeaways.
The way that I look at money now and saving, I look at it different now.
With a bonus module from Keisha Bailey, my girl, the Profit Jumpstarter, who'll show you how to find great companies to invest in.
I've been in the investing industry now for over 18 years.
So give yourself the best gift. Go to KalilahReynolds.com/masterclass to join the Money Mission. Let's get this money. Who's ready for the money? Just type money, money, money in the chat if you're ready for the money this week. Let me see who we have online, starting with Demar, who was our first person to comment this evening. D. Griffith says, let's get this money. Michelle joining us says, good evening, Money Tribe. Let's stock this money. Cool. Christine says, night, everyone, checking in from Kingston 19. We also have Learn, Grow, Invest, Portmore in the building. Jermaine says, Atlanta in the building. Raquel says, good night, money makers, all the way from Kingston. Like and come in, team money makers. And Javon is preempting our market recap segment. He says, good night, money makers. The key thing to note, stock prices are down, but companies still continue to earn, make profit, and pay dividends. So continue to invest wherever possible. So let's get this show on the road. Express Catering. You would have heard our analysts last week give their report and their assessment of Express Catering. And we're like, okay, we have to have them on because this is some interesting stuff. They're reporting net profit of just under 1.1 million US dollars for the year ending May 21, 2022, when compared to the previous year. And that previous year, they actually operated at a net loss of 1.73 million US dollars. So how did they turn it around? And what are their plans for growth for Express Catering? Well, let's hear from CEO Ian Dare. Hi, Ian.
Hi, Kalilah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Is this your first time on the show? I feel like you've been on before.
I've been, would you believe that it's been just over a year? I was with you on January 25th, 2022.
But you came on to talk about Margaritaville, right?
Right, it was a Margaritaville,
yes.
Correct.
So it's your first time on talking about Express Catering.
Yes, definitely.
All right, so
Thanks
tell us a bit about what this company does.
So Express Catering operates all the food and beverage offerings at the Sangster International Airport. So basically, both on the arrival side and the departure side, every single thing that is consumed that is food and beverage oriented falls on the Express Catering. We have roughly 32 outlets at the airport. So everything in the airport is what Express Catering is about right now. And with roughly 21 different type of brands and experiences, some international and some proprietary and local brands. So if you go through the airport, prior to COVID, we were enjoying 4.2 million passengers roughly going through the airport in and out. And I'm pleased to tell you that we have surpassed 2019 arrival numbers now. The Sangster International Airport is predominantly driven by visitors for tourism purposes. So 97% of our traffic really come from other countries all over the world, predominantly United States, Canada, and the UK.
So it's natural that you would have had a severe impact from COVID-19 because of the travel restrictions, the airports were closed. So when you said that you run, how many outlets you said at Sangster?
32.
32. So is that all of them? You guys have a monopoly on the operations at Sangster, food and drink and so on?
We don't, well, I don't know about that word, but we do have all the food and beverage offerings at the airport. So we provide every single experience that's around anybody that's consuming any sort of food and beverage.
Okay, so it's only at Sangster International though, not at Norman Manley.
Correct. So, we have 11 international brands that we offer at the airport in Montego Bay at Sangsters. And we have an additional 10 different proprietary brands and local brands that we offer to create a sense of place and to make sure that people know that they're in Jamaica. So we do have international experiences, but we also have very local experiences so people have a sense of place. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Right. So right now you're only at Sangster, but you do have plans to expand your offerings. Tell us about that.
So let's start with the current expansion, if you don't mind, at the airport. So the MBJ operators who are operate the actual airport itself have continuously expanded the size and the offerings at the airport. So with that, we have had the opportunity to open up and provide new experiences. So we have just opened up a brand new food court. We just opened up, and you've just alluded to in your picture a while ago, a brand new bar called the Guitar Bar, which is the central bar to the entire airport. Every single passenger that's leaving Jamaica has to go by that bar. And in about 4 weeks, we're going to open up the first Bob Marley's One Love restaurant, first of its kind, and it's going to be a beautiful experience. It's something that we're very proud of. That will also be in the new, what I refer to as the new tropical dome. It's a rotunda that they have built in the airport. I think I sent you some pictures of it. But basically, Bob Marley's One Love will be right beside, near the food court and near the new central guitar bar. So that's the guitar bar that you're looking at there. No, it's a beautiful bar, all made of wood.
It's very nice.
Yeah, so it's something that we're very proud of. And around you're seeing a screen that's literally a screen that's wrapped around the bar that will show, the local scenes, etc. And basically what you're seeing there is from the tarmac out back into the airport. So it's quite a facility, and it's something we were very proud of because it's at a level and a standard that I think everybody would be, enjoy and embrace. So
I've never traveled through Sangster Airport. I feel like I need to go Mobay just to go book a flight out of Sangster just to see the experience.
It's funny you say that because I know a lot of people that actually go to the airport early just for the experiences that we provide there. So it's something to be proud of. I mean, honestly, the Sangster International Airport, MBJ has done a phenomenal job, and with it, we have stepped up and provided the different experiences for both our visitors and Jamaicans alike. To answer your question about the excitement about what we're trying to achieve with ECL Express Catering, not only are we expanding the spend and the consumption that we have at the airport. In your broadcast, you said that we did just under $1.1 million, but that was with a revenue of $14 million. So that was a not calendar year, but our fiscal year, which goes from June 1 through May. And so, as I can tell you right now, we have actually surpassed those numbers already. And so, things, the arrivals are surpassed in 2019. You have to understand, every time we see a growth in arrivals in Jamaica for tourism, it is a direct correlation to the spend and the profitability of what we offer at the airport.
You think that will last though? Because, all right, you said arrivals have surpassed 2019, which is awesome. That's amazing news. But do you think that part of it is because people were cooped up for these past couple of years and now a disproportionate number of people are traveling again, making up for that lost time?
I honestly think that there is some of that. But Jamaica has done a really great job in positioning itself in the marketplace as a premium destination, a demand destination. And, you know, I feel very confident based on all the intel we have, all the market research that we have done, that the momentum will continue. We are in the sweet spot of about 3.5 hours from a lot of major cities that supply us with business in the United States in particular. And we're very bullish that the current trends will continue. We're seeing a lot of new market segments, new customer bases that have come out of COVID, but the momentum is really, really strong. I have to applaud the Ministry of Tourism and the JTB for the efforts around what is taking place. And so I think we will continue, actually. Sorry, Kalilah.
So the tourist arrivals have surpassed 2019. Have your revenues surpassed 2019 as well?
Yes. So what I'm here to tell you is that obviously I can't give you all the numbers, but we, for the fiscal year that just ended, the full year, we are already seeing in February, we have surpassed the revenue for the entire year for last fiscal year. So it bodes well because you have to understand that the premium months are between January to April, May. And so we are in the middle of that now. And so we have a good 3 months ahead of us that will, if we have already surpassed it, we will definitely be way ahead of the game. The other good news about what we're doing, Kalilah, is that we are taking some brands outside of the airport. So we're focusing on 3 brands: Cinnabon, Auntie Anne's Pretzel, and a chicken concept called Spice Kitchen and Bar. And so we are opening those concepts to the external of the airport, still in the airport, but on the outside, so that the general public will have access.
Okay, good, because I love Cinnabon. I didn't even know you could get Cinnabon in Jamaica.
You have to come to the airport
to get Cinnabon.
Yes. So the good news is that we're trying to achieve is that we're to tweak it in that space, because we're now coming out of the airport into the general public space at the airport. And once we are comfortable that we have the right formula, we will roll out across Jamaica, those 3 brand experiences. And that's going to fall under Express Catering also. So what we're trying to do is diversify.
So in non-airport spaces, you're saying you're going to roll out those 3 brands just in which communities are you targeting? You coming to Kingston?
Yes, definitely. We're definitely coming to Kingston. So it's just a matter of timing now. And so that's very much a part of our plan. And so we're very excited about it. And we're actively pursuing that objective now. So the idea is that, you know, the airport business is a great business, and it will continue to grow. Jamaica's tourism is honestly, we have so many new hotel rooms in the pipe that in order for them to fill the hotel rooms, you have to have airplanes, and they come through Sansa International Airport for the most part. So the growth and what the future looks like is extremely positive. But we're not only going to rely on that. We feel that we have some great brand experiences that Jamaicans will also enjoy, and so we are bringing it to the market in short order.
Yeah.
There are
Well,
a few other opportunities in the pipe too, with other airports, but these are the things, however, right now that we're very actively pursuing, and I'm hoping that we can make some, big announcements in a short while.
so what's your timeline on that? Bringing those three brands, taking
So
them
we're
out the airport to the wider
right
Jamaica.
now. We're actually we're rolling it out to outside the airport on the airport premises now. So it will happen
But for the rest of us,
for
non-airport people, what's your timeline there?
So again, what we're doing is that anybody can come and buy in the public space at the airport. Public, anybody can just roll up in their car and come and consume what we're offering there based on what our plans are right now. And then once we get that, and we are trying to do that within this calendar year. Once we achieve that and fine tune it, we're going to hopefully roll out aggressively across Jamaica within 9 months, 12 months. So it could be within. We're just want to get those stores open, get it fine tuning, make it a reality, and once we achieve that, we're off.
So you're looking at Cinnabon, Auntie Annie's in Kingston, 2024.
Yes.
Okay,
That's the plan.
interesting.
Yeah.
Let me take some other questions from the audience. Well, Levar had a comment. He says, "I can see why the profits rebounded so quickly because we're rebounding from COVID." Javon says, "In light of recent news of the intention of ECL to pursue plans for expansion outside of Sangster International, well, you've already answered this question. How far along are these plans, and when will there be a rollout?" Kemoy wanted to know, so on the question I asked about whether you're a monopoly, how is it possible for you to own all of the food and beverage options in one airport? So is it that you have an exclusive contract to provide those services, or is it non-exclusive?
Yeah, so, as I told you, we have 21 different brands. And in order for us to achieve that, we obviously had to have a situation where we had access. So we did sign a long-term exclusive contract, and that it took us over a year and a half to negotiate it. But we were successful, and that's basically what we are operating as ECL now.
And when
but
was
we've
that
actually been in
contract?
the airport for 20 years. We've actually
20?
been in the airport for 20 years already, with maybe not as many locations, but we've learned the business over a 20-year period because we started with Air Margaritaville 20 years ago in the airport.
Levar wants to know if you have competitors in the space. So I guess that answers that question.
Right. We are our own competitors as it stands right now.
Right, because your businesses within the airport compete among each other.
Right.
So you mentioned further expansion outside of Jamaica as well. What are you looking
Yes.
at there?
So it really depends on. We're looking at expanding these 3 different brands across Jamaica. If that goes well, that will continue to be a focus for us. We anticipate it will go well. As you may be aware of, I'm involved with a number of other different experiences outside of the airport already. So we have the know-how, we have the capacity, we have the expertise. And so we are looking at other airport opportunities across the region. We have dialogue taking place. It's not advanced to the stage where I can say anything, but we are definitely continuously looking for these type of opportunities. It's got slowed down a bit because of COVID, but we're very much back on track to focus and achieve that.
Well, Charles wants to know, does this mean that some dividends are on the way?
So, I don't want to speak out of turn, but obviously our objective is to try and achieve that. The company is profitable now. And so with the continued growth that we're seeing and enjoying right now, we're hoping in short order that can become a reality. We're investing a lot of money in the existing spaces. We're having, there are challenges right now, and while we are very optimistic and bullish about tourism and our business. The reality is that the cost of goods, the supply chain, the interest rates, there's a number of headwinds that's taking place. But we remain very confident because we are seeing a lot of growth, and to kind of shorten the answer, we are trying to achieve that in short order with the type of growth we're having. Yes.
So since I have you on, we also mentioned that you're chairman and CEO of Margaritaville. Let me just ask you quickly, how is that company doing? I imagine they must have rebounded as well, given the numbers that you've mentioned, the tourist arrival numbers.
Yeah, no, Kalilah, to be honest with you, it was a very difficult period, but I'm here to tell you that all of our businesses are in a growth mode again. Every location is actually doing quite well. And so we're back on track for growth. 2018 and 19, we were like going through the roof with our growth. Of course, we were shut down for 2.5 years. So it was a tough period, but the business is back, and it's back very strong. So we are optimistic about what's taking place, and we remain very bullish on the future.
I'm going to take one final question from the audience. This one comes from, that's not the question I intended to select, so now I have to set two. Learn, Grow, Invest said, what will be the yield for the dividend?
Well, so I can't really tell you that, because at this stage, I want things to see where we end up. So I can't respond to that, unfortunately.
Okay, this is the one I intended to select. How do you support emerging local brands within the airport to create a demand for export?
So, we're always very conscious and about being nationalist in orientation, trying to ensure that at the end of the day, there's a net return to Jamaica. So we're always looking for opportunities that we can provide in the local space and position it for growth. So, for example, Bob Marley's One Love, while it will not be necessarily be on the Express, we are positioning that is going to be a global effort. That is not just going to be in Jamaica. It's going to start off in Jamaica, and we're going to create the experience within the context of Jamaica. But their outlook is really to try and leverage the experience that we create into North America, into Europe, and make it a global experience, because Bob Marley really is Jamaica's global icon.
Yeah. So a couple people asking about your plans to raise funds, if you have any. Omar wanted to know if you're going to do an APO. Learn, Grow, Invest asking if you mentioned a fundraise.
Yeah, so we haven't mentioned it yet, but it's something that we are continuously evaluating as to what our needs are as a company, and where there is a requirement to fund growth. We will work with our financial partners in driving that process. So those type of opportunities are definitely on the cards once we realize the need to grow in different spaces and to figure out the funding.
All right. Thanks, Ian. All the best with the business.
Thank you.
Business
Thank you
is.
very much.
And I look forward to that national
we're very
rollout.
excited.
Awesome.
Appreciate your support and great show as always. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So to our viewers, it is question time, poll time. You can take this poll on Twitter or on our YouTube channel in the community space. Many times it just shows up on your feed, especially if you're on mobile. You heard us ask Ian about dividends just now. Well, NCB has decided not to pay dividends for the 7th consecutive quarter. And we want to know, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about NCB not paying dividends for the 7th consecutive quarter? Take our poll. A, I want my dividends. B, it's understandable. C, I don't care. D, other. Just leave a comment and let us know what you think about it. Let's take not quite a break. Let's head into your market recap, and then we'll join the analysts.
This segment of Taking Stock was brought to you by Bulwark Insurance Agency, Insurance Made Easy.
Hey, moneymakers, join the KRM fam with our official merch. Get it now at KalilahReynolds.com. Let's get this money. Time now for your market recap February review. The JSE combined index lost 7,000 points, or 2% in February. 131 stocks traded across the main and junior markets for the month. 45 made gains, 83 lost value, and 3 stayed the same. 462 million shares changed hands on the Jamaican dollar market, valued at $2.9 billion. Now here's a look at some of the highlights for the month of February. The main index fell 1%. The junior market fell 5%. The financial index lost almost 3%, and the manufacturing and distribution index lost almost 1%. Wigton Wind Farm was February's most traded stock. It took up 13% of market volume, with people buying and selling 61 million shares in the company. The stock ended February at 72 cents. One-on-One was the month's second most traded stock. It lost 1 cent to open the new month at $1.16. And Fosrich rounded out February's most traded. It lost 72 cents to start March at $3.06. Now let's see who had the biggest gains for the month. JPS 7% preference shares was again February's biggest gainer. The stock gained another 411% to open March at $22.83. Palace had the second biggest jump in February. The company recently completed its 600 to 1 stock split. The stock closed February at $7.74. And MFS Capital Partners was the third biggest gainer. That was up 31% to start March at $3.76. On the losing side now, Margaritaville Turks was last month's biggest loser, down 28% to open the new month at $16.44. Blue Power Group was the month's second biggest loser. The stock was down almost 25% to open March at $2.15. And rounding out the biggest losers was Lasco Financial Services. It fell 22%, closing the month at $2.20. Over on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, the composite index was mostly flat last month. Massey was the most traded stock for the month. It starts March at $4.64 TT. Agostini's was the market's biggest gainer, up almost 11% to open at $59.96 TT. And on the losing side, JMMB Group fell 10% to open the new month at $1.80 TT. Over in the U.S., the Dow Jones was down 4% for the month of February, while the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq both fell 3%. At the pumps, gas prices gained a total 35 cents in February, while regular diesel prices fell $8.81 and ultra-low sulfur diesel fell $8.74. In foreign exchange, overall, the Jamaican dollar strengthened in February, gaining 93 cents to close the month at an average $153.71 for $1 US. The Canadian dollar, British pound, and euro all strengthened against the Jamaican dollar in the month of February. Finally, on the crypto markets, Bitcoin prices were stable over the past 30 days. The cryptocurrency was trading at $23,094 US on Tuesday, and Ethereum rose a slight 1% over the past 30 days, trading at $1,602 at the end of the month.
This segment of Taking Stock, The Analysts, is brought to you by Jamaican National Group. We'll help you find a way. Disclaimer. This is not intended as financial advice. Please consult a licensed financial advisor before making investment decisions.
So I did all of that muted. Okay, cool. Is the thing. See, I don't have my monitor. It wasn't working for some reason this evening, but we're back on now. All right, let me go back to what I was saying. So learn, grow, invest. These are some of the comments on NCB. Says the first NCB dividend would be a good signal. Yes, indeed, it would signal that things are trending back in the right direction. We should invite NCB on. We haven't had them on this program in a while. Barry White says it's robbery. 7 quarters, 7. Nicholas Samuel says that's why I dumped their stock, lost 50% of its value when I got fed up and sold it. And then Orville says $30 for NCB. Orville trying to frighten people. I had to run, go look. I was like, when did that happen? No, NCB is at $74 and change today. I just checked because I was like, huh? Yeah, it's not there quite yet. If you recall pre-COVID though, NCB was at over $200 and it's now down to 74. So it's fallen quite some ways. Well, let's introduce our analyst panel for this evening. We are joined by, let me see who we have. Okay, Hugh Miller, head of asset management at JN Group and business writer at the Observer newspaper, David Rose. Welcome, gentlemen. I should say
Good night,
welcome back.
Kalilah.
Thank you, Kalilah. Good evening. Good evening to you, viewers.
So before we get into our agreed topics for this evening, right? A couple of things stand out from market recap just now, and I've had people asking me them in DMs on Instagram and so on. One is Palace's stock split, and the second one is JPS. Any idea what's going on with JPS? If either of you know, let us know right now, because...
So, all right. With respect to Palace, for context, Palace had the lowest number of ordinary shares on the market before they had their stock split. So to make this into context, the top 10 own about 90% of those shares. So less than 200,000 shares were technically refloated shares that could be traded on the market. And if the company is doing good and there are not many shares available, then the price is going to increase. Because even when Palace was trading at as high as $2,900, they were at the time trading in line with the market's price to earnings ratio. So it just goes to show that when there is low supply but high demand, the price will go up, especially in the context of Palace. So with the stock split, 600 to 1, if you owned 100 shares before at 2,700, you now own 60,000 shares at $4.50, which was the split price. So yesterday was the ex-split date, which is when the price was split, but today is when the additional shares will be showing up in persons' brokerage accounts. So over the last 2 days, we've seen where Palace has gone from $4.50 to as high as $7.88 today. Things might change tomorrow, considering the fact that when the stock split occurred, the price would have split, but the additional shares wouldn't have occurred in the accounts until the end of today, which should have been the record date. So only one out of 600 shares were actually being traded on the market on the JSE for Palace. So I hope that gives some context and clarity as to why the price would have had a quick rise right now. And then when it comes on to JPS, a lot of, like I said, that at previous forums, that the divestments like Jamaica Mortgage Bank and JPS, for example, they're going through different technical committees. The brokers, which is NCB Capital Markets and Strategic Investments, they were selected from long ago, but there's still processes that have to be followed and done before you can reach the stage of public listing. So we don't know as yet when that might be, because when JPS does list, it's going to be a huge budgetary item. So I'm pretty sure this guy will give some hints ahead of time to build that interest.
Yeah, that's the same thing I was wondering. I'm seeing all this interest start in January because I look back and I saw last year flat. And then all of a sudden, January, February, we're seeing this huge increase from 65 cents, which is where it started the year, to now $22. I'm like, does this mean that
Wait, we talking about preference shares, Kalilah?
The JPS 7% preference shares.
Oh. So the ordinary shares are referring to the ordinary shares being listed on the JSE.
Yeah,
the preference shares,
have the ordinary shares yet, but I want to know, why are the preference shares prices going up so quickly?
Simple, supply and demand. The preference shares are tightly held. Some of them are actually given to employees as part of a
From
compensation
65
agreement.
cents to $22 in 2 months.
Kalilah, if you
I
throw
feel like
shares
it's
on the
because the
market,
IPO is coming out.
Kalilah, if you throw shares on the market and it is very scarce, and somebody might buy it, and somebody just kept putting shares on the market incrementally, and the price just continuing to increase to where it reached right now, and that's just it. Look at it. I just said it's JPS, and the reality is you have, even for example, 13811's preference share that is trading at $78 right now, when the par or redemption value is $5. So anything can happen on our market, but when you come onto the JPS preference shares, people are just very scarce supply and wanted to get in.
Hugh, by chance, you have any additional insight on that, or you agree with what David said?
Well, I agree with him. I don't have any unique insight, but I'll just make a general comment. To the extent that you don't have some of the big institutional players in the market right now, as well as when you find that the trading volumes are thin for a lot of the listed entities. As David said, there are times where you're going to find that the performance in terms of the share price is disconnected from the operating performance of the company. I think that's what you're seeing. Some of these instances also, it is very likely, we have seen this in other market cycles, that there are times when investors will use what we call a mosaic theory. So they put two and two together. They think there is something coming down the pike, and so they make a move and grab whatever available units they are. So it's possible that that is happening, but to the extent that we're in a bearish market, the volumes are not back to robust levels. To the extent that anybody puts any money to work, it's likely that you see the prices moving sharply in one direction or the other. I think this stuff is a feature that you'll see in the market for the next few months until some of the big buyers come back.
Interesting. All right, let's get into our topics for this evening. And number one is Seprod. Hugh, you've been poring over Seprod's latest results. What are the highlights there?
Sure. So what's interesting with Seprod Group is that they have made a bold move to further reinvent themselves by buying Ace Bryden out of Ace Bryden is located in Trinidad. So they have completed the acquisition about 6 months ago. And person will ask, who is Ace Bryden? So Ace Bryden is about 100 years old. Their pretty much claim to fame is that they are one of the biggest distributors in Trinidad of what they call fast-moving consumer items. So the business revolves around turnover. What's interesting also about the whole transaction is that Seprod, the acquirer, was quick to indicate to the market that as soon as the acquisition is consummated, they'll be looking to list Ace Bryden on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. And so, with all of that taking place about 6 or so months ago, our interest was peaked, as we were waiting to see what the results would look like. So the results came out last week. For the full year ended December 2022. And in terms of the acquisition, what it showed was that the combined entity revenues were up about 80% to little under 80 billion Jamaican dollars. And of course, their bottom line grew by about 90% to close to 4 billion Jamaican dollars. So, for the first time, we get a sense for what the combined entity looks like. What was also interesting about the entire transaction and seeing the financials is that the Seprod management have indicated that what they'll be doing differently as against other acquisitions that you see, because these are two large companies, is that the synergies will come not for rushing to do cost cutting. Bryden has about 1,300 staff. They're not rushing to cut staff upfront. What they're looking for, the synergies will come from just in terms of on the value creation side, as well as just in terms of the wider footprint in terms of distributing their product. So I think that's quite interesting. The last thing I see on it, Kalilah, is that what the Seprod group management also indicated is that to the extent that there's now this combined entity, which will be one of the largest manufacturer of products as well as distributor in the region, they can now signal to the international brands. I heard Ian there speaking earlier about in terms of what comes through Express Catering. So what they'll do now is signal to the international brands that you can come to our Seprod group as a one-stop shop, and we will be able to distribute your product throughout CARICOM. And of course, Guyana is pretty much hot right now in terms of growth rate. So that's kind of everything came together, and that's what the early signals indicate that the future is bright for the combined group.
So did they give any hint as to when they would be doing that listing?
Well, initially when the acquisition was being consummated, they were actually targeting December 2022, but for some reason they seem to have pulled back. Now we can speculate that because any IPO that's coming to the market for AceBrite is going to be a large transaction, and to the extent that the market, the character of the market has changed. I saw your comments earlier about what's happening with NCB and some of the other stuff. The market has gone bearish, so we can speculate that to the extent that's going to be a large transaction, the powers that be might have determined that it's best to just wait a little until there's more depth to the market. But I suspect that even though they would have pulled back from the initial target date, they will not have 2023 get too old before they signal to the market in terms of what's the new date.
I suspect that some possible listings also delayed because of the whole SSL scandal. So that happened mid to late January, and they've been waiting for things to die down and at least conversation to normalize again, people to warm up to the idea of investing again. I think we're kind of there right around
almost.
now. So almost. I think I'm still seeing some comments about it, but I think people are ready again. That's just my opinion.
Well, the thing is that while we have the retail market that is eager to buy into some of these IPOs, some deals require a very large institutional base, so we cannot ignore that. And I don't think
David, the other thing is that FSC is so busy with this whole SSL issue, and all of these IPOs, APOs have to go through FSC. That could be another thing delaying anything that's looking to come out soon.
It's a crazy time. With respect to AceBrite, it doesn't necessarily have to be an offer for sale. It could also be a listing by introduction, because remember that they, as shareholders, sold some AceBrite shares to staff and some Jamaicans, and AceBrite, so paid a dividend to shareholders, including Seprod, at the end of December. And in the actual notes of the Seprod results, they highlighted that they acquired Micon Holdings Limited, which is really a large distributor in Trinidad as well. And fun fact, Micon Marketing Limited is the other entity that owns the stake in General Accident Trinidad and Tobago. And General Accident acquired under 10% of General Accident Trinidad and Tobago from Micon Marketing on December 31. But I expect them to come very, very soon. Looking forward to see how it's going to be, because the Seprod's current stake is at 54%, and I'm pretty sure they'd want to maintain at least 50% ownership. So let's see how they're going to execute that deal.
All right.
Yes.
Well,
I just say one last thing, Kalilah.
Sure.
Just for you to bear in mind, this is a large entity to kind of just scale it. So Seprod market capitalization is about $50 billion. So let us assume that the AceBrite will come in at, say, I don't know, 20 billion. It's a large transaction to try to come to the market with when the market is unsettled. Discussions about changing regulatory environment. Some of the big players are out, so I think they're pretty much waiting for all the stars, or most of the stars, to align, because it's going to be a large transaction. If it is that, they go the traditional route.
Yeah. All right, let's look at our next company that we're evaluating this evening. That is Main Event. They're reporting a big increase in profits, 837% for the year ended October 31, 2022, compared to the previous year. And not a huge surprise there because you know what happened the previous year. We were in the midst of COVID and no events weren't keeping. So, David, give us your update on Main Event.
So Main Event, had a quite outstanding year. In the July quarter alone, they made more in net profit than in any prior financial year. So similar
Wow.
to Seprod, who had, that similar effect of, just one quarter, and that was now 2021 for them, where just one quarter was greater than any previous financial year profitability. It's the same case for Main Event. So they earned $151.25 million in net profit for the 2022 financial year, compared to $97.34 million in 2019, which was the last normalized year for them. So think about it. They have done so much better in profitability. And here's a joke. They have not reached back to pre-COVID levels of revenue. So they're actually doing about $1.55 billion in revenue right now versus $1.8 billion in 2019.
Oh.
So that shows that they're much more efficient, because their net profit margin is actually at 9.8% compared to 5.4% in 2019. And the company has spoken heavily about cost control, which they've built out of the pandemic.
Right. So it's probably the fact that COVID taught them how to do more with less, right? It forced companies to learn how to do more with less. And the lessons from the pandemic seem to be extended up to now and beyond.
No, because remember they had to give up their location on Lady Musgrave Road, which is now occupied by Advantage General, and that Arden Road now. But you have seen a lot more events, but they've been very strict with cost control, because when you look at July 2022 versus July 2019, or even prior periods, they were earning a lot more revenue, but the costs were very stable. And that just goes to show that in an environment where you're having more events and persons are flooding out every event because people want to get back to normal, that they're in a good position to really grow. And remember, SVL would have taken a stake in Main Event at $3.50. Main Event is trading at $11 right now, $11.20. And even at Main Event saves 2-week low, which was $5. At $11.20, you're up 124% for contextual purposes. So that's just to show you that this is a company that actually learned significantly from the pandemic, and we have not seen the quote unquote grand numbers as yet, because Christmas would be in their first quarter, which ends January 31, and those numbers are not due until March 17. So those numbers which included Burner Boy and all those massive Christmas staff parties and all these other events, those are going to be pretty substantial. And the reality is, remember, they also wanted to do a joint venture with Supreme Ventures for an entertainment company. So this is seeing all green flags in a sense when it comes to Main Event. And the company, has maintained low debt levels and still maintain heavy focus on, just keeping the balance sheet lean and strong, because they actually passed $1 billion of assets this year. And even Solomon Sharp, the CEO, spoke about, how at a forum, I believe, a business conference forum, his company really want like $500 million worth of capital, to take the next big leap. So that's just going to show you that if he's saying that in a forum, that the company has a lot of runway, and they don't just service Jamaica. Remember, Main Event also provides equipment which they own to the Caribbean islands. They have necessarily been big because of COVID in the last 2 years, but when they get to build up for the rest of the region and actually ensure they can get paid and convert their money out of those islands, you're talking about a very strong business that also is paying more in taxes. So remember, they're the first company to list on the JSE after the JLP reinstituted the tax remission and their tax break ended, and they're paying higher taxes. They're still surpassing 2019 by significant levels.
Nice. But I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Ian Deere. Do you think that a part of this bump we're seeing is because people just missed entertainment, and
No,
so
that's clear. That's
these
Kalilah.
months are just going to be unnaturally high?
Kalilah, I've spoken to several event hosts and so on, and they've pointed out some of these events that are being held now are having their best years on record. So an event held for the last 25 years, you know, would have been, going normally. And the year in 2022, like in the last 4 months or so, that event had its biggest ever attraction in terms of a crowd in its history. And persons really wants to go back outside. And the thing is, being inside is good and having an option to, stay inside and do work from home. But persons really were tired of, not being able to go out. And persons realized that life was relatively short and best enjoy life. And if you can't afford a plane ticket, the next thing is a party ticket. The next best thing, I should say.
Kalilah, may I
No,
come
but it's
in
the
here?
truth. It's the truth.
Yeah, let me hear you, Hugh.
Yes, just to say, I agree with David.
David.
What's also interesting why you're seeing this bomb, Kalilah, with the different companies as their numbers come out, is that what the pandemic has taught a lot of them is, or it has forced them to do, near shoring, in that a lot of the inputs, whether it's main events or the other listed companies, just historically they would try and source their inputs, whatever drivers for their business, they source it, in Europe, in North America, and so on. But to the extent that we had a lot of supply chain issues during the pandemic, a lot of them were forced to source their inputs either locally or just within the CARICOM region. And then what they realized was that when you look at the price differential and quality, it was not that far off. And so that would have taught them a valuable lesson in terms of their ways in which to manage in terms of just the cost, and without having the quality of whatever their delivery is suffering. So I think you're seeing on two sides. David has explained in terms of just that sharp jump on the revenue side, but that also by virtue of them doing near shoring, in terms of sourcing the stuff more closer to home, I think that has given them some efficiencies in business in terms of controlling costs. And so that new experience will carry forward for the years to come. So you're going to find that, when the companies normalize, their numbers now relative to pre-COVID, in some instance, you'll see some spectacular increases.
Yeah, Philip says it's not unnatural. We're outside and we now go back in. I have noticed that there have been some new events too that have been doing very, very well. So Lost in Time was just this past weekend. That, apart from all reviews that I've seen, did very, very well and great attendance. You had the one New Year's, Bourgeois and Berries, out in St. Anne. You have a lot of new events coming out with great production and great, amazing attendance too. So let's see, great opportunities for main event.
And Kalilah, remember last year when they had Easter and how St. Andrew was basically collapsed with all those traffic coming in?
Mm-hmm.
And
same
even
thing
for Berries.
For the Bourgeois and Berries concert too.
Exactly.
Same thing happened. I feel like St. Anne is going to continue being an entertainment destination, which all appearances say yes. The government is going to have to do something about the infrastructure, especially that bottleneck right at Priory.
Yes.
That spot right there needs 2 extra lanes, because that's where it always ends up getting clogged. Anyway,
well, I was going to say,
David.
before you sign off,
before you sign off,
although the SL thing is relatively dying down in a sense, we really truly should not forget about the victims right now, because the JC just yanked SSL's license as a broker, so they can no longer trade for clients. And we heard today that the current majority owner, Hugh Crosco, resigned as the chairman of SSL and of his parent company, and as a director as well. So we really and truly should be cognizant of the victims right now, whose accounts and assets are basically frozen, and we're still waiting the JSC to give an update as to how they're going to access their holdings, much as even transfer them to another broker.
Right, that is so true. Well, JN is available.
Very much so.
When that time comes.
Very much so.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Hugh. Thank you, David. We'll take a quick break
Okay.
and we'll be back with final words.
This segment of Taking Stock, The Analysts, was brought to you by Jamaica National Group. We'll help you find a way.
A few more comments here from the viewers. Philip pointing out that he's looking forward to the biggest carnival ever. I saw all of everybody palance in Trinidad last week for Trinidad Carnival. Jamaica Carnival is coming up in April, and I suspect very strongly that it is gonna be, in the words of Donald Trump, huge. It's gonna be a big one. Let me see some other comments. Read JPS. Javon says JPS fetches a good price, but their payout for dividend is very low. Roswell says never lose hope. Let's see how NCB looks in near quarters. Christopher says, I think the SSL scandal has weakened confidence a bit. You think? I more than think. I'm pretty sure it has. Phil saying main event is very much a logistics company, and then adding that he doesn't think there's any reason to believe results will level off. And he's also saying that he hopes the SSL clients are quickly sorted out. Yes, that is a very, very unfortunate situation for them. DJ wanted to know what happened to the Mayberry bond issue, not seeing that on the market. I've seen David asking online the very same question. So we're awaiting an update from Mayberry. LeVar says he'd like to see JFP on the show again. They recently finished MBJ. So yes, those beautiful, the beautiful furniture that you saw at Sangster International Airport, that's the work. A lot of it is the work of JFP, one of our fairly new entrants to the Jamaica Stock Exchange. And interestingly enough, even without anyone saying that, as soon as I saw the work, I immediately thought that is JFP. Just because we know the quality of their brand and the quality that they produce, you can kind of tell, right? It speaks for itself. So JFP at work, one listed company working for another listed company. Love to see it. Let me see what else. David Gray says, yeah, indeed, he wants to see that happen too. So thank you guys for joining us for yet another show right here on Taking Stock. Want to remind you that this show, somebody was asking, I guess that person was new here, wanted to know when we come on. We're on every Tuesday at 8 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time or Jamaica time, because we don't use the daylight savings. If you haven't done so yet, guys, hit the like button. Let us know, let YouTube know that you like the video. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel. We want you to share this video with a friend. It's easy to share. Just hit the share button. And also get on the newsletter at KalilahReynolds.com/newsletter, reminding you that new email subscribers get a copy of my free broker guide. And we want you to turn on those post notifications so that you can be the first to see everything when it drops. We want to help people learn more about money so we can all what? Get this money together. Follow me all over social media on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Kalilah Ray. By the way, big up TikTok. Oh man, we have had our first truly viral video, because I've been calling videos viral, even like 50,000, 100,000. We've had our first video on TikTok to hit 1 million views. Actually, right now, last I checked earlier this morning, it was at 1.1 million views on TikTok, which is like insane. That is amazing. So thank you guys, all the people who watched that video, who shared it. It was, what was that video about? 5 money lessons I wish I learned before I turned 40. And that video is doing extremely well on TikTok. It has taken us, we've gained like over 30,000 followers on TikTok in the past few days alone. So I'm like ecstatic about what's happening with TikTok. On the other hand, Instagram is just being Instagram. Instagram is Instagramming. Same content, not much growth, but so it go. You know, you work with it, you stay consistent anyway. This month, February, actually makes 4 years that I've been producing content. I started in February of 2019. So it has taken 4 years to get our first truly viral video, with 1 million views being the definition or the measure of virality, although we've had a few that did pretty well, 100,000, 200,000, even 500,000. But now we're at the milli, and I am so happy about that. So yeah, follow me all over these social media platforms. And remember, I only have the one account. I don't have any backup pages. Check the spelling. If anybody's DMing you about crypto or any investment, it's not me. There's probably an extra A or an extra E or an extra L in there somewhere, or they might add on a number somewhere or an underscore or a period somewhere. It ain't me. Just go ahead and report those pages. So my only account is at Kalilah Ray. No backup accounts, right? If you want to connect with the analysts this week, check the description box below for their contact information. And also make sure you visit our website at KalilahReynolds.com for financial information you can use however you like it. Watch, listen, or read. Now, we want you to tell a friend about taking stock because investing is the new sexy. So let's make it cool to talk about money. I'm Kalilah Reynolds. See you next week.
Let's get this money.